Welcome back to Compendium Trivia, your one-stop shop for fascinating facts from the world of history and geography. Ever felt like murdering your brother for stealing your favorite toy? Well, these were the dilemmas that occupied the minds of Turkish sultans. In the Ottoman Empire, killing your brothers was the only way to become a sultan. Alright, sometimes locking them in the golden cage would do as well. Let's dive into the ruthless yet fascinating history of Turkey's sultanate. While politics in medieval Europe was by no means easy, its succession laws were relatively simple. In most cases, the oldest son inherited the crown, a system known as primogeniture. But in the Ottoman Empire, things were a bit more dramatic. Turkish succession was more like a game of last man standing. After the sultan's death, all his sons had an equal claim to the throne. The princes gathered their supporters and tried to eliminate all the rivals and grab the throne for themselves. Since Ottoman sultans usually had multiple sons, it was often a full-blown butchery, bathing the country in fire and blood. Brothers made temporary alliances or conspired against their own people with rival powers, such as Persians or the Byzantines. Anything goes in the pursuit of getting a crown, or rather a stylish sultan's turban. Basically, the Ottomans invented the battle royale genre, long before video games did. No wonder that this chaotic system pushed the empire to the brink of collapse more than once. Like at the beginning of the 15th century, when a civil war between sons of Bayezid I lasted for over a decade. Then in 1444 came Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror, named so after capturing Constantinople and defeating the Byzantine Empire. He realized this all-out sibling brawl was wrong and changes were needed. But if you're hoping he introduced something more humane, well, make sure you're sitting tight. Because Mehmed's solution was definitely not for the faint-hearted. Enter the law of fratricide, a fancy name for killing a brother. Under this law, the Sultan had the right to execute his brothers, in order to prevent civil war between them. Mehmed's quote from the law made it crystal clear: "Whichever of my sons inherits the Sultanate, he shall kill his brothers for the common benefit of the people." Brutal? Yes, but in a twisted way, effective. To be fair, royal fratricide wasn't a completely new concept. Founder of Rome, Romulus, killed his brother Remus, even though they went through thick and thin together. Roman Emperor Caracalla murdered his brother Geta in front of their mother. And perhaps you remember from our episode about ancient Persia, that King Darius had his brother assassinated as well. What was new this time around was the fact that the Ottomans institutionalized the practice of killing rivaling brothers, and made it literally required according to succession laws. There was only one restriction: the royal blood should not be spilled. And the killings were supposed to be done by strangulation. Perhaps they just didn't want bloodstains on famous Turkish carpets. Let's explore some real horror stories resulting from the law of fratricide. Starting with Selim I, who ordered the killing of at least 7 half-brothers, plus their sons, after ascending the throne in 1512. He also executed multiple Grand Viziers, the highest officials in the Ottoman Empire, who served under him. As a result, a popular Turkish proverb was coined: "May you be a vizier of Selims." It's the kind of curse you'd save for the Istanbul taxi driver. Who charged you double for the ride to the airport? No wonder then, that this ruler has been accurately nicknamed Selim the Grim. Another sultan, Murad III, began his rule in 1574 by killing his 5 younger brothers. Imagine growing up playing with your siblings, slowly realizing that one day you will have to kill them all. That must really mess up your brain. Perhaps to make up for it, Murad got big time into reproduction, fathering at least 59 children. However, his surviving sons outlived him for just a couple of days, because the next sultan, Mehmed III, went all out on the fratricide law. He executed his all 19 brothers in one night. The Istanbul undertaker must have been very busy the next day morning. The law of fratricide was undoubtedly very cruel, even for the brutal reality of those times. But the Ottoman rulers believed it was a lesser evil in service of a greater good, stability. Nevertheless, this practice was eventually stopped by Sultan Ahmed I in 1603. What were the reasons behind the change? Well, Ahmed was only 13 years old when he got to power. Perhaps he simply needed a brother who was alive, to play with. Or more importantly, he had just one sibling, Mustafa, who apart from Ahmed, was the only living member of the Ottoman dynasty. It wouldn't be a smart move to kill the sole backup option in case Ahmed died childless, so Mustafa got lucky. However, it was definitely not all unicorns and rainbows between the surviving brothers. Mustafa could live, but he was sentenced to life as a prisoner until, or if, his time to rule came. That initiated a new system, the cafes. And no, we don't mean an early version of Starbucks or soy caramel frappuccino. The word cafes means cage in Turkish, and it was exactly that. A section of the palace, where sultan's sons were kept under luxurious house arrest, without any contact with the outside world. The servants of the imprisoned princes were often mute, illiterate, or mentally challenged. That limited the probability that they would bring any information about life outside the palace to the prisoners. Even the windows of their chambers faced only the sea, so that they couldn't get a glimpse of a city life. Living in the golden cage must have been nothing short of mental torture. The cafe system may have stopped the mass murders between brothers. However, it created a new problem: mentally broken sultans, who literally went crazy after being imprisoned for decades. We mentioned Mustafa, the first brother who was sentenced to life in the golden cage. After the death of other members of the dynasty, he became sultan twice, and was twice quickly deposed, due to his poor mental state caused by years of imprisonment. After he lost the throne for the second time, he was sent to the cafes once again, where he spent the last 17 years of his life. His successor Osman II came out of the cage in such a dark state that, according to some sources, he enjoyed practicing his archery skills on living targets. This made a palace service a very brave career choice during his reign. Osman didn't rule for long though, killed in a revolt after just 4 years. Another notable example was Ibrahim I, accurately dubbed Ibrahim the Mad, who also spent many years imprisoned in the palace. While there, 3 of his inmate brothers were killed by the currently ruling sultan. Well, apparently old habits were dying hard, even after the official end of the law of fratricide. Understandably, Ibrahim feared that he would be the next one to bite the dust. So it's not a surprise that when he eventually became sultan, he was already paranoid and in a poor mental state. Ibrahim was emotionally unstable and had a weird fetish for extremely obese women, who were brought to his palace from the whole empire. However, fat people were hard to find back then. If Ibrahim ruled today, current obesity statistics would please him very much. His erratic rule came to an end when he was killed with the consent of his own lovely mother, who had been pulling the strings during his entire reign. There were many other victims of the cafes, which was in fact a devastating system, ruthless to those caught in its gears. Some princes spent more than 50 years imprisoned in their golden cages. Some even died in them, before their time to rule came. There was also at least one documented case of a prince committing suicide in the palace. These sultans who managed to come out of their prison were psychologically broken and unprepared to rule. After assuming the throne, they were often puppets of powerful viziers, or women from the harem, who sometimes held the real power in the empire. Especially the Queen Mother, or in Turkish, Valide Sultan, played a significant role. As the Sultan's old lady, she had immense influence on the governance, often effectively ruling from behind the scenes. The Ottoman court was always full of conspiracies and cunning characters who played the sultans to their liking. All of this together contributed to the instability and the overall decline of the empire. By the early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire was losing on all fronts, and was righteously called the sick man of Europe. In 1922, the monarchy was abolished, ending over 600 years of sultans' rule in Turkey. The empire went through three brutal succession phases: the Battle Royale civil wars, legalized fratricide, and imprisonment in golden cages. It's hard to say which one of these systems was the most optimal. The early period was pure survival of the fittest, straight out of Charles Darwin's playbook. Fratricide and the cafes system were different answers to the same problem: how to transfer absolute power without absolute chaos. All of these solutions were incredibly ruthless, but perhaps necessary to keep the balance between order and anarchy. One thing is for sure: the Ottomans were ready to sacrifice their own blood, if it was deemed necessary for their country. Thanks for watching this episode of Compendium Trivia. We hope you enjoyed the journey to the Ottoman Empire. We would love to hear which succession model of Turkish monarchy was the best in your opinion. Tell us about that in the comment section. As always, feel welcome to like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on. We've got more mysteries from around the world coming soon. Let us know which one you would like us to cover next.